So today we're going to talk about a line at DC Comics that was always very interesting to me, but also fascinating that it's not as big or popular as it should be. And today we're going to try to get to the bottom of it and figure out why, and I'm going to give my opinion on that. Plus, you guys can chip in. I always love to hear that. So let's get to it. After the success of the Ultimate line at Marvel, DC was brainstorming how to achieve something similar. DC rebooted their line so many times at this point that they could do that again, and would a few years later with the New 52. And before New 52, they kind of went this route called All-Star line. And you might have heard of All-Star Superman and then the infamous All-Star Batman. And those are basically the two you probably heard of because nothing else came out from it. These are very self-contained. However, they wanted something like the Ultimate Universe line where it was a brand new universe, modern, and this time a bit more grounded on top of being a shared universe, but just for that line. So let's set up the goals here of what this line was all about. A big push was that they were going to come out as graphic novels. As the early 2000s rolled on, the market for graphic novels rose. By 2010, you were getting even more popular. So DC decided to go all in and release a line of comics strictly doing graphic novels. So when you picked up an Earth 1 book, you got a complete story, no issue by issue. And this was a big gamble, but one that would ultimately pay off in the long run if done right. On top of that, DC wanted big name writers and artists. We're talking about Jeff Johns, Jeff Lemire, Gary Frank, Grant Morrison, and so on. Similar to what they did with All-Star line, bring in some major creators and to write big characters. But unlike All-Star, this was more focused on being a shared universe where all the characters felt like they were done in this more grounded universe. Something a little bit different, something more in line with something like the Ultimate line from Marvel. So we have a new universe that's a fresh start, huge writers and artists, and a new way to release comics in just a graphic novel form, which would be very lucrative, and a lot of fans of comics were moving towards that to complete collections instead of buying issue by issue. So why is Earth 1 still going 12 years later, yet it doesn't feel like a smash success? In 12 years of being a major line at DC, we only have 13 complete volumes. We have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman with 3 volumes each one, Teen Titans with 2 volumes, Green Lantern with 2, and they have announced Aquaman Earth 1 and Flash Earth 1, but neither have seen the light of day, nor is there any really concrete release date for either one. So I really want to talk about one of the biggest issues of this line, and we're going to start with the release dates. So we have Superman Earth 1, a more grounded Clark trying to be a hero in a world that would reject him, trying to decide if he's doing the right thing while also dealing with the politics of being a superhero in a world that doesn't want him. This sounds very Zack Snyder, right? Well, this came first, so shush. But this run was very successful of a retelling of Superman in a new and more interesting way, and although it doesn't feel like it gets the closure I was hoping for, I enjoyed the new take for what it was, and it ran from 2010 to 2015. That's right, you heard me correct. 5 years to complete just 3 volumes. So next we take a look at Batman Earth 1, which one would argue is the most successful of the bunch. Maybe not critically, but for sure sales. This was a big title, just like Superman before it. I actually personally enjoyed Batman Earth 1. It's a retelling of Batman from his younger years to his first years of crime fighting. There's a nice twist on characters like Killer Croc, having Bruce fuck up and not always know what to do, having Alfred be more of a badass, and it just helped the title from being different than every other Batman title at the time or even currently. It was easy to jump into, and that was DC's intent with this one. Jump right in. So now we're going to talk about the rest of the Earth 1 titles. Now, of course, this is subjective, and everybody will have their own opinion on each of these titles. I'm going to give you mine real quick so we don't lose track of the focus of why this line is a little messy for me. Wonder Woman 1, probably being the most decent, but Morrison's tendencies to go a bit crazy and over the top are still here. Also, there is some questionable storylines with Diana here. But the true offenders of this overall Earth 1 line for me are Green Lantern, which I never read Gabriel Hardman's work, I believe that's his name, and I'm sure he's a very capable writer, but this title bored me to tears. I could barely get through volume 1 and 2, and it's a tough title. I really think that the writing is just not interesting. I think the art is kind of boring and ugly to look at. Like, it doesn't inspire me to want to keep reading this title. But, you know, that's the sin of those books. They're boring. Let me talk about Teen Titans Earth 1, written by the legendary writer Jeff Lemire, one of my absolute favorite writers of all time, and this is terrible. Every character is filled with the brim with angst. The twist on Deathstroke is really poorly done, and the end of the series is so abrupt you can tell that it probably got canceled and wasn't just ending. I love Jeff Lemire. I absolutely love 90% of his work. I hate this book. Now listen, even if I loved all these series, there is one major glaring issue among all of them: the release dates. These books are 2, sometimes 3, or with Batman, 6 whole years apart from each other. See, the aim is to make this like a novel release, but these are graphic novel releases, and graphic novels are read in a couple of sittings, if not just one. Not 4 to 12 hours of reading, maybe an hour tops. And listen, I am not a quantity over quality type of guy, but there is absolutely no reason a company as large as DC should only be releasing one of these every year. One of each maybe every year, yes. So one Batman, one Superman, one Wonder Woman, and so on. That would work. You released Superman in 2010, and then you didn't release the follow-up to 2012. That's 2 years. And then the final volume comes out in 2015, leaving fans for 3 years wondering what's happening. Except one big thing: they probably moved on and read 25 other Superman stories and totally forgot about this one. So what I'm trying to get at is, that's my major issue with this line. You got the big writers, the big artists, an idea to make them a shared universe of more grounded situations, yet you're not capitalizing on them. You aren't releasing a follow-up of your biggest Earth 1 title, Superman. You aren't giving us a Justice League of Earth 1, which could be a major hit that coincides with the movies maybe, which could be huge in modern-day grounded storytelling. Let's be honest, having a team of superheroes having to work with real life government and everything, I think that's a great idea, where street level characters could really work in a grounded situation like Green Arrow, Nightwing, and maybe even give, like, I don't know, Batwoman or Catwoman or something like that. But you have none of that. I mean, there's so much untapped potential here in this universe, and it's just a shame, because if the effort was put in and the release dates came out quicker, and talking about a minimum of 3 to 5 books a year, I think this could be a major hit. We're talking about possibly an Ultimate Lines major hit. But what they tried here was to bring in new readers, and they didn't really want to do much after that. So, in my honest opinion, it all comes down to it feeling like a half-ass attempt for DC to capitalize on the success and then brush it off to the side. I mean, in 2012, they even claimed Superman Earth 1 really helped boost their sales. That's awesome. So why not more of that? Why not keep going instead of barely giving us a volume a year on the entire line? I think DC has a gold mine here, if I'm being honest, or at least they did. But for now, it just kind of feels like, one book comes out a year, maybe. That's kind of cool, but has no lasting effect. People forgot about the last volume that was released years and years ago, 2, 3, 5 years apart. That just doesn't work for this day and age. And for that, It's an okay line that was quickly replaced by a more popular line like the Black Label line. However, one day, DC can reboot it in a way and speed up production and maybe turn the tides. But for now, it's just kind of sitting there with a couple of good stories, but so much wasted potential. And that, my friends, is what makes me the saddest. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I love going back in time and talking about comic lines or big story events that kind of altered my view. This is kind of one of the big series that got me into reading more DC comics, and it's such a shame the way it kind of ended up, if I'm being honest. But I would love to hear your guys' opinion. What did you think of Earth 1? What did you think worked? What did you think isn't working or didn't work? And do you want more of it, or are we just kind of forgetting about this line and focusing on the Black Label, which is producing some amazing work? I would love to hear what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, just hit the like button, subscribe, all the fun stuff, and I will be back with more videos. Have a great day.